The Suns are on the rise as ESPN says that they are tied to be one of the most improved teams this year. And we're going to be discussing and breaking down why we believe that the Suns are going to be one of those teams to take over with Mike Budenholzer at the helm to bring a deep playoff run for us Suns fans. Welcome back to Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. You guys have been absolutely killing it, showing your love and support over here on the channel. But just to let you guys know that right around 77% of you guys who watch our videos are not subscribed. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date on everything revolving around this Suns team, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I mentioned in the introduction, we're going to be discussing the Suns bouncing back after a little bit of a disappointing season last year. After they finished as the sixth seed and ultimately lost in the first round of the playoffs. Now, we're going to be diving in and looking at this article from ESPN, like I mentioned in the introduction, that talks about this Suns team being on the rise and making some fantastic improvements in the offseason to take them over that hump and make them a better team in this Western Conference. So, like I mentioned, this ESPN article talks about a bunch of different topics, but one topic that they mentioned in for sure was the team turnaround, which is which teams will take a major leap this season. We want to look at the list that ESPN did provide. We can obviously look at these slew of teams. Memphis, obviously having their injuries, they're going to get better with their young talent. The Spurs with Wemby and CP and their guys developing, they're only going to get better. And even the Golden State Warriors, they believe made some key improvements with losing Klay Thompson that are going to bolster them in the Western Conference. But if we look at this list here, we can see that the Phoenix Suns are the lone fourth team at having the best rise this year. And that's all due to all the changes that they made this season. Now, obviously, starting off at the helm, they brought in Mike Budenholzer, who was a key addition into this coaching staff, replacing Frank Vogel, who I believe will be a better fit for these star players, guys like Beal, Booker, Durant. They are primarily known as offensive guys, not defensive guys. So a guy like Budenholzer will be able to create enough plays, create enough options for these guys to score at will, but also feel like they're not utilized in the right way. I ultimately believe that the roster moves that they made as well, with key additions like Tyus Jones coming on the veteran minimum, Mason Plumlee as being that backup center, and ultimately Monte Morris coming in as well, were fantastic additions alongside their two draft picks and Oso Iguodaro and Ryan Dunn, who look like they could be nice spectacles from the summer league. And I truly believe that their development is going to be key for this Suns team. I am agreeing with ESPN here. I think we're going to see a rise with this Suns squad. Like I mentioned, if you want to look at the roster here that we have, you guys can see the starting five. Obviously, there are some question marks. Is it going to be Tyus Jones? Most likely going to be Tyus Jones, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic. But when the bench comes around, there definitely are question marks. You got guys like Monte Morris, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Mason Plumlee off that bench, who are all key impact players who will definitely make a difference compared to guys like Drew Eubanks or possibly even Eric Gordon. I think that these guys are going to be key for the Suns. Like I mentioned, the Suns really, really struggled in assist to turnover ratio, and they got the two best point guards at assist to turnover ratio in the last couple of years on their roster. That is not going to completely eliminate, but definitely limit the amount of turnovers that they have and definitely increase the amount of assists as well. Factoring a bunch of team basketball alongside bringing in some of these young guys, I'm really liking this talent that this Suns squad has. Now, like I mentioned, this article also mentioned some other topics, which they talked about some team turmoil, which talking about which teams could take a tumble this season. And when discussing this, the Suns were also a team on this list, being tied at eighth place. So some people at ESPN feel they're going to take a leap. Some feel like they're going to take a little bit of a step back. But the people believing in the leap are a little bit higher on that leap than that step back, which again is absolutely fantastic for this Suns squad, as we truly believe over here on Suns Digest they're also going to be able to take that leap. We saw with Team USA, Devin Booker looked fantastic playing that small ball three role, where we saw him even we saw him start every single game for Team USA. Kevin Durant was injured for the start in the exhibition, but was absolutely on fire on that second unit for this Team USA squad and still got the start in the gold medal game and was able to show out for Team USA with his obviously historic stats of being most points, most rebounds, and Yeah, most points in both for Olympics and men's, and he has most rebounds for men as well, which is absolutely crazy. When you look at those stats, Kevin Durant is putting the country on his shoulders over here for the last couple of years and really showing out when it matters most when you want to win that gold. But I think those guys, if they can translate, bring the stuff that they learned from Team USA over to the Suns team, it's only going to get better. The key additions like Tyus Jones and Monte Morris are going to limit those turnovers, make those assists, get that ball movement rolling for the Suns guys. And hopefully a guy like Bradley Beal, we saw last season him deal with some injuries, maybe not being a role that's really perfect and really fit him. With Devin Booker playing that small ball three over at Team USA, he looked very comfortable in that position. So if Bradley Beal can get back into that groove, especially with having guys like Monte Morris and Tyus Jones getting him the ball and making sure they find him in his open spots and to make sure he can get into rhythm, I'm sure we can see a resurgence of Bradley Beal as well, to where Suns fans are at least a little bit more excited about having Bradley Beal on this team with that type of contract. Because like myself, there are some fans that are a little questionable of Bradley Beal this season. But I think a guy like Royce O'Neal having a full year under belt and training camp with this Suns team is going to come out on fire, being a nice 3-and-D wing. And then we also have the rookies to discuss. Ryan Dunn, Oso Ighodaro. What kind of additions can those guys make? A guy in Josh Okogie is another defensive threat that we also have for the bench. Damian Lee, who was injured last year, could be a nice spot up shooter for that third unit. There are an abundance of players. I completely forgot Bol, who's a big question mark with this team and what he can really produce and what's his role and how great can he really be. I think that this Suns team has a lot of untapped potential, a lot of guys that are going to be very, very exciting for a lot of new fans. And they also have some young guys with some good movement and Dunn and Osadego and all their two ways, but also some nice veterans and guys like Durant and Booker and to keep the fans, interested. So this team I definitely think will be a dominant playoff team. I see them in the top five in the Western Conference at this very moment. According to my kind of, predictions, I think the top five teams in the West are going to be, the Nuggets. I think the Thunder. I think the Mavericks. I think the Suns and I think the Timberwolves are the top five teams in the Western Conference. And I really think that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, if they start feeling themselves like they were at Team USA in these playoffs, with guys like Tyus Jones, with guys like Monte Morris to set them up, with a nice defensive big and Mason Plumlee to protect the rim for that second unit, and also some guys that are willing to grow and willing to throw their bodies out on the line to make a deep playoff run, I could see this Suns team definitely being a scary team in the Western Conference and making some noise. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you guys think ESPN is right in predicting the Suns will have, a nice little resurgent season here with their nice new roster additions? Or do you guys believe that the Suns are going to take a little bit of a step back or possibly even stay the same, stay a little bit stagnant? Ultimately, I think that these changes were definitely necessary and we got to believe in them. And if that's not the case, we might see some more shakeup in the future, but we got to stick with the now and got to believe and run with this team. So let me know what you think down below in the comment section, how you guys feel about the Phoenix Suns. We'll get you back in another episode. I'm Bruce Velez. Have a great rest of your day and go Phoenix Suns.